everyone, my name is Fuensanta and this is my Resources and ICT final exam. This exam is divided into two different parts, so let's start.
Okay, so first some initial details. This project is aimed for a group of 25 students in the third cycle of primary education, especially from 5th grade, who are children between 10 and 11 years old. This class is made up of 15 girls and 10 boys, and also I have a girl with ADHD, so this activity will be adapted to her. My students are curious, imaginative, and enjoy discovering hidden stories behind famous discoveries. They have basic digital knowledge and love using technological devices. They enjoy working on team and sharing ideas with their classmates, and also they get excited about using new technologies like augmented reality. Now let's move on to the curricular goals. Regarding the decree of the region of Murcia, the curricular goals that are shared in this task are mostly from the subject of natural science and are this one: 1.1, 2.1, 2.2, 2.5, 3.3, 3.4, 5.1, and 5.2.
Okay, so here I've asked ChatGPT to help me create my project for primary 5 students. Thanks to it, I have my activity planned in a perfect way. Even though I changed some parts of the activity, ChatGPT provided me with some useful examples and gave me some clues and ideas to know how to implement the activity in the class, but I wanted to make it more real and do some of the parts of the activity. Okay, so this is a single project divided into 3 different parts. The class will be divided in groups of 5, and in each part of the task, students will use a different type of technology. I will provide them with everything they need, from technological devices to materials. The project is called The Mistake That Changed Science. By this project, students will learn that some scientific mistakes ended up in some of the most useful scientific discoveries. In order to explain my project better and the 3 parts of it, I'm going to use the penicillin discovery as an example.
In this first part of this project, students will search for information about some accidental scientific discoveries and will choose one. Then they will look for what happened and do a report in a Google document. After knowing the whole story, they will need to break down the story into different pieces.
After doing the research part, children will work with stop motion to represent what happened, but avoiding the mistake that caused the discovery. To achieve this, children will use the stop motion app in my mobile phone, some Legos, like this, some modeling clay, like this, and a cartoon box with some backgrounds to make the different scenarios. In the case of penicillin, we should avoid the part where Fleming forgot to cover up his experiments before going on his holidays.
This is an example of how it would look like.
The next part involves doing a comic. Students will focus on the error that ends in the discovery. For this part, students will use the web of Pixton to do the comic.
With this web, they can choose the background, the character, the faces and gestures, and the dialogue. In our case, we can see how the disorder of the laboratory made some bacteria to enter one of the plates and produce that mold that was penicillin.
Finally, students will have to program a short game with Scratch. They will think about what could have happened if scientists didn't make those errors that ended up in some of the most amazing discoveries.
For it, as I have said before, children will use the platform of Scratch, where they can create their own character and represent the different alternatives. Here is an example of what can have happened if Fleming hadn't discovered the penicillin. Okay, so now let's talk about BigRad. This is a model we saw in class. It helps us see if technology is actually helping students learn or not. BigRad is divided into 2 different parts. First, the big part, we present if the students are being passive, interactive, and creative. And the rat refers to know if the technology replace, amplify, or transform what its students do. First, stop motion. My students build characters and scenes with Legos and clay. Then they record frame by frame. They are creating, not just watching. And this is transformative because without technology, they couldn't show the what if. Like, what if Fleming didn't make the mistake? Second, Pixton for the comic. Students create their own character, backgrounds, and dialogue. That's creative. But here, Pixton amplifies what they could already do on paper. It makes it faster, neater, and easier to change things. It's not a total transformation, but it's still a big improvement. Third, Scratch. They program a short game. They decide what happens if the scientists never made a mistake. They are designing an interactive story. That's creative and transformative, because without Scratch, they couldn't make a playable what-if game. Now they can.
Well, first, students will have to complete this questionnaire about the working teams to know if everyone has participated and collaborated in a group, but also to know if this project has really helped them. Also, they will have to present their work on the last day of class. They will show their classmates what they have created, the stop motion video, the comic, and the short game. Previously, I forgot to say that this project will be divided into 4 different classes, each of the 3 first for one different type of technology, and the last one for the presentations. After the presentations, we will put all in common what we have seen in other teams' work and what should be highlighted about them.
As the teacher, I will use this rubric to assess every group's project, and I will give them a mark out of 24.
Now, to choose the 3 tools students will use in this project, I evaluated previously using the e-learning tool evaluation rubric, especially focusing on privacy, data protection, and students' digital rights. First, Stop Motion Studio works quite well in terms of privacy because students can use it without creating a personal account. This means that they do not need to share personal information, which helps protect their data. Also, the videos can be saved directly on the device and exported easily. Second, for the comic creation, I use Pixton. This tool is very engaging, but it does require more attention regarding to privacy because it usually asks users to create an account. According to the rubric, this could be a minor concern since some personal data might be collected. To reduce the risk, I would use teacher-created accounts or school accounts so students do not need to register with their personal emails. Pixton also allows students to save and export their work, which is really important because they keep access to their own creations. Finally, I use Scratch, which is a very safe and appropriate tool for primary education. Students can create projects without sharing them publicly, and projects can remain private if needed. Scratch also allows easy savings and exporting, and students keep ownership of what they have created. The main concern here is that if projects are published online, usernames and project content can become visible. To address this, I would either keep project private or use some teacher accounts. So, in conclusion, I think all 3 tools work really well for this project, but they need some careful teacher supervision. The main way I address privacy concern is by reducing personal data, using school or teacher accounts, and teaching students not to share private information online. One important challenge in my project was finding a balance between innovation and accessibility. On the one hand, using digital tools like stop motion, Pixton, and Scratch makes learning much more engaging and motivating for students. They can create, work together, and show their understanding in different ways, not only by writing and memorizing. But on the other hand, not all students feel equally confident using technology, and some may need more support because of the diversity of my classroom. Also, some students may work a little faster than others, which can sometimes create frustrations in group work. To address this, I designed the project so that all the important work can be done in classroom with teacher guidance and access to school devices. I also included a clear step-by-step instructions and samples before students started working on their own, so everyone could feel comfortable doing this project. Another important decision I took was to organize the students in groups so they can help and learn from each other. This way, students with stronger digital skills can support classmates who need more help, and no one would feel like a fish out of water. I also included some non-digital moments like planning the ideas on the paper or discussing in groups, so technology supports learning but does not become the center of everything. And this way, I try to use innovation to improve learning while making sure the project stays accessible for everyone. To communicate this project to families, I would prepare a short and clear message explaining what students will do, why are they using these digital tools, and how we will keep students completely safe. First, I will explain the purpose of the project. Students will learn about some scientific discoveries while developing other important skills such as creativity, teamwork, digital competencies, and problem solving. I would also explain which tools we are using, stop motion, Pixel and Scratch, and reassure families that these tools have been carefully selected for educational purpose. I understand that some families may have concerns about screen time, online safety, and sharing personal information. Before this, I will make it clear that technology use will be limited, purposeful, and always supervised by the teacher. I would also explain that students will no need to share personal information online, and that we'll use teacher-managed accounts or school accounts whenever possible. In addition, students will learn how to use digital tools responsibly and safely. Finally, I will invite families to ask questions or say any concern. I think it's very important to create an open and respectful dialogue because families may have different opinions and experience with technology. My goal is for families to feel informed, involved, and confident that technology is being used in a safe and meaningful way to support their children's learning.
Finally, this is a CAD toolkit. For this activity, I have used the following cards.
In this exercise number 2, I've chosen some words. The first one is Bekrat. In my project, The Mistake That Changed Science, students don't just watch some videos about Fleming. They use programs such as Scratch and an interactive game where they explore what would have happened if the mistake hadn't occurred. According to Peck, they are creative because they design characters, rules, and alternative scenarios. And according to Rad, for example, in the case of Scratch, transforms learning. Without technology, they can simulate that hypothetical timeline. This concept really helped me justify why I choose these tools and no others. Now the second word is UDL. In my class I have a girl with ADHD. I use UDL in 3 different ways. First, not just reading or putting some text. We use videos, stop motion, comics. The second is how they express the content they have acquire. They can show their learning through stop motion, a comic, and a scratch game. So she has different types of technology and different types to express her learning. And third, I think the topic is really engaging for children. It's interesting, and as they work in groups, they can help each other. UDL helps me design a flexible project from the start, and it helps all students, not just her. Now, my students have used stop motion without registering an email or their name. They save the video directly on the device. And I've learned in this course to evaluate tools with a privacy rubric before using them in the classroom. This is crucial because as teachers, we are responsible for our students' data. Without the digital competences, I could have chosen attractive but unsafe tools. Finally, I've used the e-learning tool rubric to check if stop motion, Pixel, and Scratch, the apps I've been using, were safe. I looked at privacy, if it needed a personal account, for example, stop motion didn't need it, Pixel do need them, so that's why I use teacher accounts or school accounts, and Scratch lets you keep projects private. I also check copyright and age rules, and this rubric told me not to pick a tool just because it's free or popular. I'm responsible for my students' data, and this stays with me forever.
The Ditchcombedu areas that I feel are the most important ones are professional engagement. This means using digital technologies to communicate with families and reflect on teaching. In my project, I designed a communication strategy for families explaining stop motion, Pixel, Scratch, and how I protect students' data. The second area is digital resources. This means evaluating tools for privacy, copyright, safety, and data protection. In my project, I used a rubric to analyze stop motion studio, Pixel, and Scratch before choosing them. And finally, teaching and learning. This means designing activities where students are active creators, not passive. In my project, students create a stop motion, a digital comic, and a Scratch game. I use Picrat to check they are creative and transformative.
I think I deserve an 8.5 because I designed a complete project that integrates 3 different technologies: Scratch, Pixel, and Scratch. I apply theoretical content like Picrat and UDL. I evaluate the tools with a privacy rubric before using them. I thought about how to communicate this project to the families, and also how to include students with learning difficulties. I reflect critically on my use of AI and show the step-by-step process of my project. The most challenging role for me was being critically technology designer. Normally, when teachers think about using a technology in class, they look for the nicest app or the one that looks more fun. But in this course, I've learned that I have to be critical. I have to evaluate every tool, evaluate the privacy, copyright, and whether technology really transforms learning or it just replace paper. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye!